Hello everyone, this is part 23 of What If Naruto Was Reborn as a Shinigami, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Tsunade stared at Jiraiya like he had grown another head. Who in the hell are you talking about? Jiraiya shot her a look that made her shut up immediately, a rare occurrence in their strange relationship. Pain is a one-time student of mine whose real name is Nagato. Remember those 3 kids we found begging for food back in Omegakure during the Second War? He was the little black-haired boy. I stayed with them for 3 years, trained them to protect themselves, and during that time he developed the Rinnegan. He killed a ninja who was trying to kill Yahiko, one of the other orphans, and his dojutsu kicked in. Tsunade racked her brain to remember these kids and her eyes widened. It's almost prophetic. Orochimaru told you to kill them and you didn't. Sensei should have killed Orochimaru and didn't. Naruto should have killed Sasuke and didn't. It's like a cycle that just continues. Jiraiya and Naruto glared at her and she put her hands up in a placating gesture. Whoa, whoa, easy, easy. I was just saying. Naruto huffed, clearly annoyed. We know what you were saying. Having your failures pointed out so bluntly is not very flattering though. We plan to rectify those mistakes very soon, however. Since you're going to take pain, I think you should know about how the Rinnegan works, or what Itachi found out anyway. The 2 Sannin and Tenten were attentive immediately. Pain is more than one person. Tenten blinked and spoke the collectively thought question. What? Naruto ran his hand over his face in frustration. He needed to word things more carefully. His dojutsu is different from everything else. Being a descendant of the Sage of the 6 Paths, he has certain powers. Any enemy he KS becomes a body of his. Jiraiya was trying to absorb the information as much as possible, but couldn't quite wrap his mind around it. Explain further. Okay, when he KS someone, he possesses their body. His Rinnegan eyes become part of the body and he gives the body piercings to match that of his original body. According to Itachi, the Rinnegan is a true dojutsu, like the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Instead of copying things or seeing 360 degrees around the body, the Rinnegan allows the wielder to use the other boss to increase its field of vision, and it's shared between all the boss. Tsunade leaned forward a little more. So what you're saying is that each body sees what the others see? Yes. Tenten gave Naruto a look of disbelief. How the hell is that possible? The information overload to the brain would be astronomical. Who could possibly process and sort that kind of information? How could you be sure of which body is seeing what? Naruto shrugged and gave her a helpless look. I dunno. I just know that's what Itachi told me. Each body shares views with the other boss. So let's say each one is hiding at a different point where 2 hallways intersect. They can see each side of the hallways and each can plan on how to strike. Jiraiya nodded, getting a better feel for his opponent. How do they communicate with each other? Itachi didn't know. How does he control 6 boss at once? Itachi didn't say. Tsunade massaged her temples and sighed. Did Itachi tell you anything else of importance about pain? Naruto shook his head. There wasn't much else he could find out. Pain is very secretive. The fact that Itachi even found out he has other boss is nothing short of a miracle. Konan kept Itachi under constant watch, following him by pretending to be part of a painting on the wall or a napkin on a table. She was a master of infiltration and surveillance. Jiraiya sighed loudly and folded his arms. Well, that's more than we had to go on. Better than nothing. What about Madara? Tenten looked at Naruto expectantly, wanting to know about their chosen opponent. Naruto shrugged once more and grinned. Nothing much to say about him. Our weapons negate his little time-space continuum jutsu, and other than that, he's just a regular Sharingan user. The only difference is that his Mangekyo has no consequence. Tsunade glared at the blonde. Everything has a consequence, even the eternal Mangekyo. Tenten nodded her head. Yeah, he had to kill his brother and take his eyes. That was a consequence. Naruto bit his lip in concentration. Well, if he feels no remorse for it, it wasn't really a consequence. The normal Mangekyu makes you go blind if you use it too much. The eternal Mangekyu negates that, but I don't know what the weakness is. Itachi never said there was one. Jiraiya, Humiden closed his eyes. Even so, there is always an inherent weakness in everything. You can fly right now, Naruto, but you still aren't strong enough to lift off on your own. Tenten is a master with her sword, but her jutsus are still weak. Tsunade Suzu Seisei gives her energy, but takes years off her life. My Sage mode is powerful, but I haven't fully mastered it yet and it gives me frog-like attributes. He opened his eyes to find the other three staring at him with quirked eyebrows. Tsunade put her hands on her hips, tapping her fingers on her sides impatiently. Sage mode. What is that? Another time. You'll more than likely see when we fight pain. Tsunade growled and the four fell silent, not knowing what else to say. Jiraiya finally broke the silence after several moments. Should we find Itachi and ask him how he's going to handle Sasuke? Naruto shook his head. No. It would just annoy him. As long as Sasuke SS, the deal is set. Orochimaru SS with him and then I can get rid of Itachi. You two take care of Pain while Ten-chan and I take care of Madara. It'll all work out in the end, I promise. The two Sannin were not entirely sure of his words, but Tenten's apprehensiveness shrank just a tiny bit. It was hard to be pessimistic around Naruto when he was giving encouragement. And usually when he said they'd be alright, they'd be alright. She bowed to the two elder ninja and linked her arm with Naruto's, dragging him out to enjoy the rest of the day. Tsunade let out a long, slow breath and leaned back against the table. I'm getting too old for this S. Jiraiya snorted and she cut her eyes to him. You tell anyone you heard that and I swear I'll shove a kunai up your ass, sideways. Jiraiya just gave her a small, sad smile. We really are getting too old for this S. She nodded and looked out the window as Naruto and Tenten passed by, chatting amicably with each other. Yeah, that's why after this is over I'm stepping down. It's time for a new generation to lead. And I know just who should lead them. Tenten laughed as she dragged Naruto along. He had been stalling as long as he could in the room and she finally had had enough. Quit being a baby about this and let's go talk to her. It's not like she's going to KU. Naruto dug his heels into the ground more, letting his wings flare for added drag. You don't know her like I do. She's going to punch first, ask questions later. Naruto, I'm serious. You're going. I don't wanna. Tenten stopped walking and stood in front of him, her hands on her hips and a scowl on her face. You need to talk to her and you're going to damn well do it if I have to hog to you and drag you there through the streets. Naruto looked back at the two ruts his feet had made and sighed, his wings lowering in defeat as well. Tenten watched his little display with disdain. He wasn't going to wiggle out of it by trying to be cute. But Ten-chan, she'll hurt me. I'll hurt you worse if you don't go. I'll be there, it'll be fine. I swear you are the biggest wuss when it comes to her. You can fight S-rank missing ninja, but are scared to death of a little pink-haired girl. He sighed dejectedly and followed along behind her as she ranted and raved on their way to the hospital. This could only end in traction, for him. Sakura. The pinkett turned her head upon hearing the familiar voice and grinned. The clipboard in her hands shifted to one arm. Tenten. It's been a while. How are you and, Naruto? She took in his hangdog look and frowned slightly. His wings were hanging limply, his face in a pout, his hands jammed in his pockets. It was almost like he wasn't happy to see her. Tenten followed Sakura's gaze and frowned as well before smacking Naruto in the shoulder. Stop that. You're being childish. His pout deepened and she turned to Sakura with a sigh, shaking her head. He's afraid you're going to hit him because he didn't talk to you before we left. Can you please tell him you won't so we can talk? Sakura's frown deepened and she put her free hand on her hip, glaring at the blonde. Naruto glared right back. And what makes you think that I'd hit you right off the bat? Not like I have a lot of good experience with your temper. My memory might be a little fuzzy from all those past knocks to the head. He tensed as Sakura walked toward him but refused to move. She raised the hand holding the clipboard and he closed his eyes, already envisioning reaming Tenten verbally for his being right. He was surprised when he felt her arms encircle him and he opened his eyes to find her hugging him, Tenten smiling as she held Sakura's clipboard. It's good to see you, Naruto. We missed the two of you. She let the surprised boy go and gave Tenten a hug as well. I know we didn't part on very good terms, but I'd like to rectify that. Allow me to take the two of you to dinner tonight. I get off at 6. I'll swing by to get you to it. Where are the two of you staying? Naruto was still out of it, so that left Tenten to answer. We'll be at my apartment. Should we dress nice? Dress formally. We'll eat at a nice restaurant. Tenten nodded and dragged Naruto out by his arm, telling Sakura they would be ready. The Pinkett smiled and waved before looking at the chart again. Yoshibari, room 112, prostate exam. She glanced back sadly in the direction of the fading Tenten and Naruto and sighed. Should have ran when I had the chance. Naruto fidgeted in his formal attire, the back of the jacket and shirt cut to accommodate his wings. Tenten had forbidden him from hiding them while in Konoha, not like it mattered anyway. Everyone knew he had them. He pulled at the tie again and Tenten slapped his hand. Don't. It's only for a little while, Naruto. Just bear with it. He growled and slipped his finger in between his N and the collar again. I hate wearing these things. You know that. She flopped down beside him, her Chinese dress flaring a little bit, showing off some of her legs. She stared at him tiredly, ignoring the fact he was eyeing her bare legs. It's just for a little bit while we eat and talk. If you'd quit fidgeting, you wouldn't even notice you had a collar. Stop it. She smacked his hand again and he growled playfully. You're getting to be as bad as Sakura about smacking me. She glared at him and raised her hand like she was going to swat him if he tried to take the tie off again. If you didn't act like a 3-year-old, I wouldn't have to act like your mother. Stop trying to take the tie off. He stuck his tongue out and tugged at the tie playfully. What are you going to do about it? She narrowed her eyes more and grit her teeth when he pulled the tie off. She reached for it and he pulled it out of reach. Give it to me. No. She jumped a little in her seat to grab it and he pulled it out of reach again. Give it to me, Naruto. No. Tenten grabbed his shoulders and crawled into his lap, reaching over his head for the offending object, their boss pressed together, their noses touching. Give it. No. The two turned as one to find Sakura leaning against the doorframe with an amused look on her face. Tenten looked down at their position, squeaked and leapt off of Naruto, holding out her hand for his tie. He handed it over obediently and stood up, letting her retie it for him. Sakura barely restrained a giggle as Tenten tried to maintain some dignity after her embarrassing situation. So, are you ready to go, Sakura? Oh, I don't know. Should I come back later? Imagine my surprise when I walk in and all I hear is, give it to me, Naruto. Tenten blushed and pulled Naruto's tie through the knot, cinching it in with a little extra force, making him grunt. Can we go now, please? Sakura giggled and nodded her head as Tenten led Naruto to the door, her arm latched onto his tightly. Sakura looked at the two as they walked with an appraising eye. You two do make a cute couple, you know that. The two grunted and Sakura giggled again, remaining silent the rest of the trip to the restaurant. The three sat down, drinks were ordered, food was ordered, and an uncomfortable silence fell over their table. None of the three knew where to start until Tenten finally growled in frustration. Oh, this is ridiculous. How have you been, Sakura? Sakura threw Tenten a grateful look and smiled. I've been doing good, mostly working at the hospital. Shushu doesn't let me go on many missions anymore, since I'm needed more at home. The injured ninjas have been piling up lately, and I don't have Naruto to tend to anymore on missions. I wasn't that bad. And besides, you never really had to patch me up at all. I would have healed naturally. The three fell into silence again until Sakura sighed. I'm sorry for the way I treated you two back then. It was very immature of me. Tenten smiled at Sakura and put her hand on the girl's arm in a reassuring manner. We forgive you. It was a trying time for all of us. Let's forget about all that, though, okay? Dwelling on it isn't going to do any of us any good. Sakura nodded, but before she could speak, Naruto coughed. Did you ever find anyone for yourself, Sakura? Her eyes dimmed a bit, but she smiled anyway. No, not really. I was dating a civilian for a while, but he just doesn't understand the ninja lifestyle. Plus, he was really pushy. Kept trying to tell me what to do. Naruto perked up immediately, suddenly interested in someone who would dare to push Sakura around. And, well, he kept pushing. Until one day I pushed him through the wall. Literally. He spent a month in the infirmary. Naruto and Tenten laughed loud, catching the attention and ire of the tables around them. Sakura shushed them, but it was only half-heartedly, as a genuine smile was on her face. She touched Naruto's arm to quiet him and her grin slipped when he flinched. Her hand dropped back to the table and he looked down. Sorry, did I really hit you that much back then? He nodded his head and she looked back down at the tablecloth, the good mood totally ruined. The waiter caught the tense vibe and sat the food down quietly before making a hasty exit. Tenten stirred her rice and sighed. You know, we never used to have trouble talking to each other when we were younger. It seems the world is falling down around us nowadays and we can't speak more than 2 sentences to each other without feeling uncomfortable. Sakura took a sip of her drink and nodded her head, but she offered no comment. Perhaps this had been a bad idea. She and Naruto had just grown too far apart. She was about to excuse herself and pay for their meals when Naruto spoke. Despite everything I said before we left, I did miss you and Kakashi. Even with all the hardships and bad blood back then, Team 7 was my team. Besides, we need to make up now before the Akatsuki get here. There's no telling if we'll make it out alive. She smiled at him and he smiled back. Tell you what we'll do. We'll wipe the slate clean. Hello, I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I'm Haruno Sakura. I'm Tenten. Nice to meet you both. Let's tell a little about ourselves, By the end of the night, all three had become reacquainted with each other and were soon chatting away with no ill feelings. It was refreshing to just talk, to relax and kick back. Soon, this wouldn't be possible. It might never be possible again. Sakura left the little meeting feeling lighter and happier than she had in years. Naruto and Tenten left feeling happier and more at peace. Everything comes full circle. Naruto nudged Tenten and grinned. So, when are we doing this with Guy, Lee, and Neji? Never. I haven't heard anything about youth or springtime in over a year and I intend to keep it that way a little while longer. They walked along in comfortable silence for a while before Naruto snickered. The springtime of youth is strong within Ten-chan. He never saw her unseal Keppuku, but he did feel the insane tug on his chakra when she clobbered him with the broad side of the feather on his backside. A month passed quickly. All the Konoha ninja had been on standby, waiting for Akatsuki to appear. Everyone was training like crazy, trying to cram in as much power as they could. All missions had been suspended by Tsunade and even the daimyo was in lockdown. This was war. They had no time for frivolous things. Tora got the message and kept his ass home after Tsunade herself nearly barbecued him for running away. The daimyo's wife was not happy, but hushed when Tsunade threatened her as well. Apparently, she was not in the mood for dignitaries with attitudes. Jiraiya and Tsunade had gotten together with Shikamaru to devise a strategy for dealing with pain. If he had 6 boss, they would need more help. Plus, someone would have to take care of Sasuke's cronies. It was all adding up to be a monumental headache, especially for Shikamaru. Itachi had locked himself in his clan house and had refused to come out, simply meditating on the tatami mat in the clan hall. The only one he would deign to speak with was Naruto, and that was on a good day. Most of the time he ignored him. Tenten had finally gotten down the Yomi Numa from Jiraiya, but was still woefully behind on jutsus. She would have to rely almost solely on Kenjutsu, not that Madara was going to be defeated by anything else anyway. Her only worry was Naruto. He had done nothing but stand in the middle of a field with his eyes closed, his wings flapping lazily behind him. At night, he was normal and warm and loving to her, but during the day he was distant, almost as if he was detached from his body. She could only imagine what he was thinking since he wasn't actually doing anything. Keppuku had no answer for her and Tenten just chalked it up to Naruto being serious for once. And he was serious. The next day after talking to Sakura, Naruto had gone on autopilot it seemed. To the outside world, it looked like he was simply standing still, but Naruto was hastening along his flying ability by channeling chakra to his wings, massaging the muscles in them, and beating them to loosen up said muscles. It was tedious, but it was working. While Tenten and the rest of the village slept, he would slip out and fly at night around the village, looking out over the expanse of forest and searching for any sign of the Akatsuki. He never found any, but he kept his nightly vigil. The guards who saw him at night merely watched as he circled the village, his wings beating against the air. It was comforting to them, almost as if he was a guardian angel. Sanosuke would pop in every now and then to talk to him, offering advice on certain things. Naruto listened, but he kept up his routine, his wings beating near the ground and making the dust rise. Tenten would come retrieve him for lunch, he would follow mechanically and then he would return to his task. It was just another typical day for Naruto when an alarm sounded throughout the village. His head swung up quickly to see if anyone was there and he found no one. He bent low to the ground and leapt high into the air, spread his wings and took off for the gates. Every Konoha ninja, it seemed, was lining the top of the wall and the gates. Naruto could make out Suin, Jiraiya, the senseis, and the Konoha ninjas from his age group standing atop the frame of the two massive gates. In the distance, walking at a steady pace down the road, he could make out figures in familiar cloaks, cloaks that he loathed with all his being. He flew to the gate and landed next to Tsunade and Tenten, his wings flared behind him. Kiba looked over and grinned. Glad you could join the party. Naruto grinned back and unsealed his hammer while his chain wound around his arm. Tenten unsealed Keppuku and twirled the sword lightly. You guys ready? Everyone nodded their heads, but the nervousness could be felt. Naruto stood bolt upright, his eyes shining. Judgment passes on us all today. Let's pray that judgment passes over us. Pain observed the winged man as he alighted upon the gate frame. His main body cast a glance at the shorter Sasuke. Tell me, Sasuke-san, do you know anything about this, angel of Konoha? Sasuke sneered and kept his vision forward. Nothing except he's an incompetent fool that will last today, along with my traitorous brother. Indeed, I have unfinished business with my former sensei as well. Madara glared at the two, his mangekyu spinning. Lest you two forget, these opponents are not to be taken lightly. Sasuke, if you think that Naruto is the same boy you fought all those years ago, you'll pain. Just because Jiraiya is getting on in years does not make him any less dangerous. If the two of you fail and survive, I'll KO myself. Pain nodded in consent, but Sasuke glared back at Madara. I'm only here because this is a partnership of convenience. Don't presume to order me around. Madara smirked at the younger Uchiha. If you survive this, I'll show you why I presume to order you around, boy. The elder Uchiha reached in his cloak and pulled out the swirly orange mask and slipped it on, his demeanor changing immediately. Toby thinks you're being a bad boy. If you keep going against the wishes of Akatsuki, you'll have to be punished. Toby's a good boy. Let Toby show you the light. His voice changed back to that of the sinister Madara. Because if Toby can't show you the light, Madara can damn well show you the darkness. He turned back to the front, the heavy aura of death lifting. Toby's glad to see they came to see Toby. Hi, everybody. Toby says HELLOOOOO. Toby's a good boy. Tenten frowned and her grip tightened on her sword. Naruto quirked his eyebrow and nodded his head in her direction. She growled when she heard Toby shout. Gods, I hate that man. It'll be no small pleasure king him. If I have to hear one more. Toby's a good boy. He's That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.